Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today for our webinar with Workforce Go, automates allocating payroll time and PTO entries back to Sage Intacct with a push of a button. My name is Lauren Hogan, and I'm a regional marketing coordinator here at JMT, and we're very excited to have Chris Goheen from Workforce Go joining us today. Just a couple of housekeeping notes before I turn it over to Chris. If you have any questions during the webinar, please go ahead and submit them into the Q&A section as you think of them. We'll save them all until the end of the presentation, but don't hesitate to submit them as they come. Also, just a reminder that we'll send you both some handouts and the recording of today's webinar within 24 hours after it has concluded. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Chris, to get us started.
Thank you so much for that, and good afternoon to everyone. Truly appreciate your time and attending today for Workforce Go's presentation on automating, allocating payroll time and PTO to Sage Intacct. To get us started, I just wanted to give a brief introduction of myself. Again, my name is Chris Goheen, and I am the president at Workforce Go, who is proud to partner with JMT Consulting for today's webinar. I'm excited to present today as I have a background of over 20 years working with organizations to help create meaningful and connected experiences for their most valuable resource, their people. In today's webinar, we'll focus on one of the biggest complications nonprofit organizations face, which is allocated reporting requirements of your labor for your grants. Now, in looking at this and looking at how we allocate payroll time and PTO entries to Sage Intacct, we first have to understand that obtaining money through grants is not like earning it through fundraising. Fundraising dollars can be spent on whatever an organization wishes. Grants are awarded typically for special projects for an organization. The range of grants is broad, but an organization's application must state specifically what you need the money for and how you will spend it. So it's very important that organizations must follow the plan that is laid out, and in most cases are required to account for how grant money was spent. Grant definitions can change every year. Have you ever found that any of your current grants now allow you for expensing PTO earned? Would this help with your cash flow? So we ask the questions as we think about this complicated process. What if your organization could? What if your organization could not only book your payroll journal entry per pay period, but also book a wage and PTO earned entry as well, with all the required allocation, avoiding the G&A, and those allocations being by your Sage Intacct dimensions, such as program, department, location, etc. What if your organization could record these types of entries per pay period with clicks of a button and a fully burdened rate from that pay date and knew it was accurate? Also, what if your organization could remove the staff time most organizations require today to record that per pay period? Would those clicks be worth it for you on the grant side? If you're like most nonprofit organizations, allocating your payroll, your time, and your PTO entries per pay period can be a tedious and very manual process. Workforce Go HCM's industry-leading integration with Sage Intacct automates this process to allow organizations such as yourself to save time and reduce errors, provide leadership and program managers with a grant fund financial reporting, improve visibility in the grant spend expenses, and become your auditor's or grantor's hero by providing them timely and complete reporting. Now, we're going to get into a lot of the specifics around how Workforce Go helps organizations accomplish this with our real-time bi-directional integration, but with Sage Intacct. But before we dive into the specifics on that, I want to talk to you a little bit about more of how Workforce Go is, who Workforce Go is, and why we help organizations succeed with requirements such as this. At Workforce Go, our flagship product, Workforce Go HCM, helps us deliver on our promise to help customers create more meaningful work experiences for their people. It's our flexible and seamless full suite of HR, payroll, timekeeping, and scheduling solution that was built to help customers drive better outcomes and be more effective HR partners to their business. Now, while that sounds as a lofty goal, it really translates into enabling you to impact these key business objectives. First is optimizing your resources. Our customers wear many hats. So while they may be solution administrators, they don't have the time or resources to become or hire a technical expert or to spend on employee training. So Workforce Go HCM really helps you work with what you have and optimize the impact you have on your organization. Next, many of our customers have a fragmented technology stack today with manual processes and workarounds, which has limited the impact they can have on their organization. So Workforce Go HCM provides a modern solution that helps eliminate all that tedious administrative work, reduce compliance risk, and help you get the insight you need to really identify the areas of your business where you can have the most impact. And of course, our customers are always focused on streamlining processes so they can one, improve growth, and two, adopt more scalable processes to support that growth. So with Workforce Go HCM, we provide not only the tools, but also the expertise to help you do just that. Workforce Go HCM helps you achieve these goals by delivering a seamless solution that is designed for flexibility and ease of use and combines the power of all the things you see here. So HR, talent, payroll, and time deliver a personalized, connected, and people-centered experience, all from a single solution. We know the landscape for HR solutions is crowded, and other vendors may be able to make similar claims as we just went through previously. But here's what we think really sets Workforce Go apart. First is our single platform. Our platform is truly a single, unified platform that provides a single employee record. Now, what makes us special and why this is so important is that Workforce Go HCM was developed in its entirety and not separate solutions working together in the background. So that means you get one employee record and you truly have a single source of truth. So you don't have to worry about updates that an employee makes in time and having to wait for that to sync with payroll. That happens continuously and in real time. It also means our platform can provide you with comprehensive analytics and reporting right in the solution itself because you have access to all the data points in the platform. And just as important is that it provides a consistent experience throughout the platform and enables us to personalize and tailor the solution to a person's unique role. So for your employees, the experience is truly built for those employees and managers experience for those managers. And the information they have access to is going to be relevant to them and their role. So they can jump into the solution really quick, get the information that they need, and quickly approve or update something and get on with their day. Most importantly, with very limited formal training. Next, with Workforce Go and our difference is the industry expertise. It is not enough for vendors to say that their solution can accommodate all federal, state, and local regulations. They also need to understand the unique regulations that are specific to your industry. So with Workforce Go HCM, you get a flexible solution that can handle the operational nuances of your organization while leveraging a team of experts in your industry to ensure you're implementing best practices, as well as you're supported by a support and services team that knows your business. This means that our solution can not only adapt to your specific needs, but also offer you valuable guidance to ensure that you can optimize some of your most time-consuming processes so you can reduce costs while growing and scaling your organization. Here, as an example of that industry expertise, is where Workforce Go HCM provides the industry-leading real-time bi-directional integration with Sage Intacct. Workforce Go and our solution, Workforce Go HCM, is actually the only human capital management solution in the Sage Intacct marketplace with our integration built on the Intacct platform itself. And to talk about the value of that industry expertise, you can see some of the comments organizations have made along the lines of pretty much revamping their entire HR and accounting and felt the improvements of bringing Sage Intacct and Workforce Go together right away as an organization. And lastly, for our difference here is our customer experience. We all know customer support and success is mission critical for organizations with limited resources. It can often mean the difference between submitting payroll on time and with no errors to submitting payroll late and risking employees being paid late or submitting payroll with errors, as well as also creating risk of compliance violations. So bringing that all together, when you look at all three critical areas of an HR solution, sure, other solutions may be strong in one or even two of these areas, but only Workforce Go HCM successfully delivers all three, which is how we ensure our customers realize more value and ROI from their solution than they would with another vendor. Now that we understand the solution, the expertise, and the experience Workforce Go provides for organizations, let's get back to resolving that one of the biggest difficulties nonprofit organizations have of allocating the reporting requirements of your labor for grants that you receive. Some of the key areas we want to talk about with accruals on actuals is actually the ability to perform wage accruals on your actuals information. So when you incur scenarios when part of wages paid on a current period covers wages earned in a prior period, Workforce Go empowers organizations with providing the accrual of the prior period back from the specific days on the timesheet to calculate those actuals. And not only does it calculate those actuals, but it does that by your Sage Intacct dimensions. Again, your examples of program, project, department, location. So we're taking that information and allowing you to do that wage accrual based on your actual activity for the covered periods of what was paid versus what was earned in a prior period. An example of this, if we use a general pay date like April 9th, which would cover the period work of March 28th through April 3rd. From the Workforce Go HCM timesheets, which is looking at your actual time, will accrue for the period of March 28th through March 31st. From that accrual there, we will provide Sage Intacct directly from Workforce Go HCM and that real-time bi-directional integration, an accrual journal entry on March 31st, which will actually debit your accrued wage expense and credit your accrued wage payable. In conjunction with that, we will also provide an accrual journal entry on April 9th, the actual pay date. And then we will also provide the full payroll journal entry on that April 9th date as well. Now, doing this for wage accruals is very important for us, but the other items, again, in looking at the information that needs to be reported, is actually moving into performing those PTO accruals based on your actuals as well, and focusing on that accruals on actuals. When part of your paid time off earned within a current period covers your paid time off earned in a prior period, we need to address this in the same fashion for that reporting. So Workforce Go HCM will accrue the prior period earned with its related Sage Intacct dimensions. Again, as an example, there are dimensions such as program, project, department, and location. An example of this is, again, using the pay date of April 9th and that period worked of March 28th through April 3rd. The accrual will happen for the dates of March 28th through March 31st for each employee, and the paid time off amount that they accrued or earned within that. From that, Workforce Go HCM will automatically provide, via that real-time bi-directional integration, the March 31st accrued journal entry, debiting that accrued wage expense, crediting the accrued wage payable, that April 9th accrued journal entry, and the April 9th payroll journal entry as well, ensuring that all your reporting is accurate, easy, and can be done with a click of the button, being based on actuals versus percentages that you may typically see in solutions out there. Now, performing these wage accruals, understanding or seeing what is being done is what is being provided is very important, but seeing how that is being done for you is extremely important as well. So not only do we want to provide those wage accruals through that automated, seamless, real-time integration, but also illustrate for you how those calculations are being done. So Workforce Go HCM actually calculates the fully weighted burden rate per employee per pay date. And this is done by looking at your earnings plus your employer benefit expense plus your employer tax expense. Now, with that fully weighted burden rate, we automatically apply this to the hours that are charged on the Workforce Go HCM timesheets by employee. Then Workforce Go HCM accrues the prior pay period by that fully weighted burden rate by employee. Now, this also includes, again, doing that by your Sage Intacct dimensions, looking at your projects, your department, your location, and those various ones that you're using. Now, some of the additional benefits of this are not just doing this for your non-exempt hourly team members who are actually submitting time with the Workforce Go HCM solution, but it also provides the capabilities of doing this for your exempt salaried team members as well. Those team members can enter hours for the same application of this wage accrual calculation. The exempt salary team members can allocate as many hours as required and still get paid the fixed per pay period amount. So this provides us to address all of the team members within an organization and all of that grant reporting and accrual process that may be required to accurately do that reporting. Now, performing those calculations, again, looking at that not only from the wage accrual side that is happening, but also from the PTO accrual calculations and how those are being performed as well. Workforce Go HCM calculates, again, that fully weighted burden rate per employee per pay date. And that is including the earnings, the employer benefit expenses, and the employer taxes. With that fully weighted burden rate, we're actually multiplying that by the actual PTO hours earned by pay period at the Sage Intacct dimension level, program, project, department, and location. So this is looking at that within the specific period and allowing you to perform those calculations automatically and book that reporting within Sage Intacct appropriately and accurately per pay period. Again, the benefits that we saw on the wage accrual side also apply to the paid time off accrual calculations as well. So it's not only for just those non-exempt hourly team members. For those exempt salary team members, again, they can enter their hours for the same application of this calculation, both on the wage and the paid time off calculations. The exempt salary team members can allocate as many hours as required and still get paid the accurate and fixed per pay period amount, not impacting their actual paychecks within there. I went through a lot of details on how Workforce Go HCM helps apply this, the expertise, experience, and solution that Workforce Go HCM provides, and this specific area in reporting and insight that many nonprofit organizations provide or require and do not get with other solutions, causing very tedious, time-consuming, and labor-intensive processes. So finally, summarizing a lot of that information together, Workforce Go is always striving to build meaningful, lifelong partnerships with our customers. With Workforce Go HCM, customers enjoy a smart, personalized service experience with the right guidance when it matters most, empowering you to bring your organization to new heights. This is accomplished through our customers getting guidance needed to achieve great outcomes, working with a partner who understands who our customers are and what they do, and becoming empowered to become more day-to-day effective and within your organization itself. I truly appreciate the time to go through those details on allocating your payroll, wages, earnings, PTO for grant reporting within there. I want to open it up to see if we have any general questions about those specifics there.
Don't forget you can submit your questions into the Q&A section. It looks like we do have a couple questions. The first one is, when can we record the accrual entry?
Very good question. So not only being able to do this calculation process and report on these accruals accurately, having an understanding of when that can be done is very important. Now, because these entries rely on pay statements and the actual calculations being done in payroll, as soon as the pay statement is finalized within Workforce Go HCM and is not expected to be changed, so even if you're processing payroll prior to the actual check date and you know there are no additional changes that are going to be made, the accrual entry can automatically happen within Sage Intacct. This can be done, again, prior to payroll being processed, once it is finalized, or once payroll has been processed and automatically posting there. But the timing is all based on those calculations happening within there. Great question on that.
Yeah, and then the next question we have is, with regards to the PTO accruals, what if we make a manual adjustment to an employee PTO balance? Will the process know to net out what is accrued and adjusted?
Yeah, another really good question there. And we do know that oftentimes there are adjustments to balances around paid time off that are happening within there. Of course, with the Workforce Go HCM and the automation of the accrual of your PTO and your policies around that, we want to ensure that those are mitigated as much as possible. However, when those situations do arise and you make adjustments to a PTO balance or a paid time off balance for an individual, we've actually built the integration and the process that you're looking at here to look and net out the adjustments to any of your paid time off accrual registers within the pay period that you are posting for. Therefore, any adjustments that should be considered and captured should be in that pay period. If an adjustment is made outside of the pay period, such as the beginning of the year, then you as an organization will have to make that adjustment entry in your ledger accounts because it is outside of the pay period itself. The behavior of our integration and these calculations that we're talking about and how we provide that information seamlessly to Sage Intacct not only looks at your current pay period, but also wants to take into consideration those adjustments you're making in that current pay period itself. So again, if we are making those adjustments, as long as they're within the current pay period, they will be taken into consideration. If they are outside of the current pay period, you would have to do a one-off adjustment for that.
Okay, and then our next question we have is, can we filter out certain grants from the monthly payroll accrual? Not all of our grants except the accruals until the end of the grant period.
It's a great question, and we have run into that specific with many organizations. So yes, Your grants are set up as dimensions within Sage Intacct, and we are bringing those into Workforce Go HCM automatically. And there are settings based on that and how we apply the accruals to exclude certain grants from that process. So if the grant does have specific rules, and we do know those rules can vary from grant to grant and even year to year, we can be selective on how those accruals and these calculations are applied for that.
Okay, it looks like that's all the questions we had come through. If you do have any more questions come to mind, feel free to email info@myworkforcego.com. We would love to help answer. And thank you just so much, Chris, for joining us today and for giving that wonderful presentation. And thank you everyone else for joining us as well.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And my thanks to everyone as well for the time this afternoon.
Well, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you.